Rest in peace to Chris Jasper. I just had got the word. Oh, this one hits because as a fan of the Isley Brothers, especially the 3+3 era, the 70s, the funk, the jams, the groove, his blazing keyboard work, his the way he put things to light. And he was only 73, and I remember just listening to the electrified funk of what he did. So much the Isley Brothers, and all due respect, because Ronald is one of the greatest vocalists, aka Mr. Biggs, and Ernie Isley, one of the baddest guitarists and also drummers, but Chris Jasper's keyboard work. I mean, come on now, because think about it, 70s era band with no horns and just bamboarding, hitting the funk on the keys like that, with the in the era where horns were everything, and his keyboard playing was so distinctive and meticulous, and you always knew that siren groove. You could always tell his tone. Um, you know, it leading up to Caravan of Love too. By the way, with Isley, Jasper, and Isley. He was a bad dude. I mean, this cat flat out could play, flat out could groove. You know, um, old school player for real, but had the tools to back it up. It's like, I'm like, oh, not Chris Jasper, because I always was hoping. I know it wasn't going to happen. The eyes would ever get back, because there's a lot of stuff goes on, but his musicianship, the cat was hanging and holding his own. And I think I tell people this all the time. Think about it. They were a band without a horn section in the 70s where horns was everything. So you had to be a special, particular player to pull it off in an era where everybody had the horns and you were riding on the keyboards, where keyboards weren't as dominant. The keyboards had an impact, but they weren't as dominant as they became in the 80s. So think about it. He was ahead of the curve. He was ahead of the corner. It's like, uh, he was a bad dude. And it's one of my favorite musicians. I love the sound of what the Ozzies was doing, especially when he became part of it, because it took their stylings and their grooves to a whole nother level. And if you were an Isley brother head, especially during the 3+3 era, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I ain't got to explain nothing. Because that funk and them slow jams, footsteps in the dark, when you hear that, you hear his chord line, you hear his tone. You always knew his hands, and for the love of you, you hear that those keys.